Hello boys and girls, Steve Fletcher here and welcome to the Everything Guide to Learning Guitar. Before we go any further, can I ask you please to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and really help me grow my online business. Okay, so we are in the Further Barre Chords section of the Everything Guide to Learning to Play Guitar. Now it's at this point that we've gotten to a stage in your learning where you can sort of pick and choose what you want to do. You've got yourself to a nice stage with your guitar playing. You've learned absolutely loads of chords and absolutely loads of ways to strum them and play them and absolutely loads of songs as well. But where we're at now is this really delightful phase where you can just do whatever it is that you want to do, you know, following these videos. So if you are following along as a student of mine, then welcome. If you are here just wanting to learn the chords to this track, then you've come to the right place. If you are a student of mine already, either at school or on Zoom or in private lessons, then you will get the accompanying sheets to these songs automatically in your lesson. You should already have it if you're watching this video. If you're just watching out there in internet land, then hello and welcome. And if you want the accompanying sheet, which shows you all the chord boxes and what have you and the structures of the song, then you can get that direct from me. If you go to my website, the link is down there in the description, then you can get those sheets quite easily. And I would really advise you do that because obviously it's really helpful to have those accompanying sheets so you can see what you're doing properly. So what we're going to do in this next section is we're going to start solidifying these bar chords. We've already completed the bar chord section and you can find a link to that playlist up there where we've learnt the four main bar chord shapes that you need to get by. And what we're going to do now is start to proceed further and further up the neck. Now, we're not going to cover, you know, a chord on every single fret, on every single string, because that would just be a ridiculous amount of overkill. We've already covered a lot of the, you know, how to spot where your chords are stuff in your learning the notes on the guitar, which is up there. What we're going to do is just sort of pick 8 songs that just cover a few bar chords as they move up and down the guitar neck to really try and solidify this idea of, you know, you've got the same shape always with those bar chords, but because of where the root note is and the notes that are underneath your fingers, the shape might stay the same, but the chord name changes. Now what I'm going to show you is, as I always do, is I'm showing you the song slowed down and I'm also then showing you the song at full speed. And then for when you've cracked it, we've got the backing track for you to just play along to as well. All right, so let's dive right in. Right, so what we're taking a look at today is Showdown by ELO. By Electric Light Orchestra. Oh my God. This was a single that was released in 1973 from the On the Third Day album, and it's also featured in numerous compilations, and it's a really good song. Gives you an opportunity to practice a few little chord changes, and what we're doing is we're just trying to bring in more and more bar chords for you to look at. In fact, this is the first song that we're going to do where pretty much every chord that you do, in fact there's no pretty much about it, every chord that you do is a bar chord. All right. Now, what you might find is after a while, some aches and some pains are going to start coming in. Just try and sort of, you know, power through, take breaks if you need to, but try and just sort of power through because it's important that you get the hang of these bar chord positions. Now, what we've got, new chord wise, we've got the G minor, although we did have the opportunity to look at that when we did Nights on Broadway by the Bee Gees. But we've also got the C minor chord as well. So the G minor, we had F minor, introduced when we did Space Oddity by David Bowie. What's that there? And we did do the G minor in Nights on Broadway. Basically what you're going to do, there's the F minor shape, is we slide that whole thing forwards to that G minor. Now there is a lot of sliding in this song from G minor to F minor. So it's really important that you're sort of trying to get used to this idea of your bar chord changing, where you don't take everything off and then put it all back on. We do this lift, hard to spot that, but this sort of lift where you're taking your fingers off the neck but not off the strings, slide it forward and then squeeze. What you can do in this song as well with that G minor, just to make it a little bit more interesting, is do what we did when we did Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters, is to take off that little finger and make it a G minor 7. Now we've also got the C minor shape here. We've done B flat minor when we did Nights on Broadway. We've done B minor when we did What's Up by Four Non Blondes. We're sliding that forward one more shape. We've talked about this C root note so many times, but there it is to give you that C minor bar chord shape. this song gives you an opportunity to practice a new technique which you can bring into your chord strumming, individual note playing, almost most styles of what we're going to eventually go on to do, but it's something that you might not have encountered yet, but you're going to. It's what we call staccato playing. Now that's essentially what that means, is not allowing the note or the chord to ring. So to give you a little bit of a difference, we'll play a C, and then we'll play a C staccato. You can hear the difference there. So if I did a rock strum C, and then did a C staccato rock strum, here we go. So you can see that, or you can hear and see that note isn't ringing, that chord isn't ringing, it's being stopped. And that is the staccato playing. Now, how do we do this? Well, first of all, you don't have to, okay? We do get into more of this sort of stuff as we go along. But my sort of feeling is, if you get an opportunity to try something new, it's not going to hurt you. So you might as well just give it a go. Even if you're just getting the idea of what you're doing in your head and then just sort of filing it back there and thinking, well, yeah, I know what it means, but I just need to practice it a bit more. So the first way you can do it is to simply do what we call a palm mute. And again, there's going to be more and more on this palm muting technique as we get into guitar soloing. So we're not just going to leave it here and then move on. There's going to be a whole section on palm muting. But what it is just using the fleshy part of the back of your strumming hand and just sort of sitting it gently on the strings to just stop the notes from ringing. The other way to do it, and actually I find a sort of a combination of the two to be really very effective, is to lift, do that lifting thing where you are lifting your fingers off the neck but not off the strings. And again, this will cause the notes to stop ringing. Now that's a really effective and easy way of doing it if you're doing a bar chord, because especially an E-shaped bar chord, because every note has got a finger on it there. But something like if you're doing an open G chord, there's open strings in there. So lifting those notes, it's working for the fretted notes, but those open strings in the middle are still ringing away, which is where I find this idea of doing a combination of the two to be a good thing. It's kind of like, rubbing your head and patting your stomach at the same time. It does take a little bit of doing, but it is a technique that you're going to see more and more, so why not? I often get asked by my students, say, you know, this is a song that uses all your bar chords, and we're going to get a couple more songs that I am going to say to you, I want you to use all bar chords for this. Okay. Now, normally you wouldn't have to. You'd find a way that you could use, you know, several open chords if you had to, and then just, you know, the occasional bar chord. But I'm your teacher, and I'm in the section where we're learning about the bar chords. So I'm encouraging you more and more to use more and more bar chords in this section. But a student might say to me, you know, do I have to do all bar chords? Well, no, of course you don't. But that's the section that we're in, okay? And it just can't be denied that even for an experienced player, doing a song with nothing but bar chords is going to be a bit of an endurance test on the old tendons in the back of your hand there. Now, again, though, because I'm the teacher, it would be irresponsible of me to not sort of give you this alternative options for when you come across a song like this that is nothing but bar chords, and you might just be at the end of your tether and just be like, I can't do another bar chord. Certainly as a beginner, you know, where you want just that little alternative. And, you know, you do have to use a little bit of the old grey matter in there, but it is possible. And the obvious thing to do is to say to me, can I not just use a capo? Well, again, it's not as simple as that. Yes and no, you can use a capo. While it's certainly easier to get around the idea of bar chords by using a capo, what you tend to find is you might remove one bar chord from your equation by doing that, but you might find, and you usually do, that you just end up with a different bar chord in a different place. So my argument there is, well, you know, you might as well just suck it up and learn how to do your bar chords properly. But you also find when you add a capo to your guitar is you've got to sort of really sit and think about where these alternative shapes are going to be. Now, I do a chapter on what do I do if I don't have a capo. If you've lost your capo, you've forgotten it, but you still want to play that song, is it still possible? Yes, it is. You just need to learn how to do it. Now, and this is just one instance where we can just dive into that if you want to. If you don't want to, turn it off. You've already done the song. So, Showdown is in the key of C minor. So we have that C minor bar chord right there. Now, it doesn't take much to be able to see that if we put a capo where the bar is, we end up with essentially the A minor. Now, you're not playing an actual A minor there. It's just the A minor shape, and we guitarists would say it's A minor. A minor is here. This is still C minor, but because we put a capo on it, we now revert back to using those open string names. So you've got your A minor there. We also have that G minor shape, which would be quite easily replaced with that E minor. Now that capo is on there, that's really, really easy to think about. But what about that F minor chord, which is back there, which is obviously hugely behind where your capo has now been put? How on earth are you going to reposition that? It is doable because you have got a good grounding knowledge in where your root notes are. Obviously, the F minor has got the F root note, and when we think about the octaves, we can jump up 2 strings and go across 2 frets. This was detailed a lot more in your octaves page, and end up here in that capo on that 3rd fret of the D string, which would make it a D chord, wouldn't it? But of course it's not a D chord, it's a D minor, because that would be an F minor. So you would replace that F minor chord with the D minor. So you would have that, and this, and this. There's also the B flat. We just have that one B flat chord in there. And again, B flat is right there on the A string. That 1st fret of the A string is that B flat chord. But you well know, when we learnt about the notes on your guitar, that these notes exist in various different extra places. You've also got B flat right here. This is the 6th fret of the bottom E string. So essentially your 3rd fret from your capo. What chord would start on that 3rd fret if you were capo-less? It would be the G. So you would replace that B flat with the G. You're still doing B flat. This is still a B flat chord because of where it is, but because we've added that capo, we use the open string note names. So you would have a G. And that's how it's done. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please stick around on this journey of the Everything Guide to Learning Guitar. Check out my website for loads more learning resources, and we'll see you next time, boys and girls. Bye-bye.